Today, 6 of our key European allies are publicly denouncing the Trump administration's claim that Greenland rightfully belongs to the U.S., writing in a statement that the island actually belongs to its people. That statement bolsters Denmark's warnings that any American attempt to take control of the territory would endanger NATO. The country's prime minister said if the U.S. makes a move, it would mean an end to not only the alliance, but also the entire regional security apparatus established at the end of World War II. Joining me now is Anders Vistisen, a Danish member of the European Parliament. Mr. Vistisen, thank you for joining us. How seriously are you and other Danish lawmakers taking President Trump's threat?
I don't think we're taking it serious in the sense that, of course, it's a bit annoying that every 2 months or so the American president claims part of the Danish kingdom. But on the other hand, nobody really expects U.S. Marines or other military to engage a NATO allied country. So I think in Denmark there's a great frustration that apparently this administration needs to deflect from their internal failures by claiming territories as Greenland, Canada, or whatever else that have been mentioned during the past year.
Can you tell me a little bit about the conversations you've been having with other Europeans, with NATO allies, any commitment conversations about what would happen should Donald Trump surprise you and decide to make a move?
I don't think there's really any doubt that in the USA and the military of the US would invade Greenland, that much could be done about it. But as the Prime Minister stated, it would be a collapse of the NATO alliance to see one NATO ally attack another NATO ally's territory. There is a great discrepancy between the situation in Venezuela and a very long-standing ally as Denmark and the US have been for more than 70 years, and also U.S. have numerous times acknowledged the Danish sovereignty over Greenland in State Department treaties and other places. So there's really no doubt that the territory of Greenland belongs in the Kingdom of Denmark, unless the people of Greenland decide to go in another direction. And that's a political decision for the Greenlandic people to take without any interference from overseas.
Yeah, there is obviously one member of the administration that we know has been very vocal in his support of taking over Greenland, and that is the president's top aide, Stephen Miller, who also has been ramping up his rhetoric since this weekend's military operation in Venezuela. I want to play just a little part of that for you.
We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security.
For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
So this is clearly an argument that they're making, that this is in the interest of U.S. national security. If you had a chance to have a conversation with Stephen Miller, what would you say to him?
It's very hard to argue with people who have so little knowledge and apparently are so oblivion to the history of Greenland. U.S. have had the chance to have all the military capabilities they want on Greenland for more than 70 years. But over the time since the Cold War, they have closed down more than 30 military installations and bases in Greenland, only keeping one left. So if the U.S. assessment in reality is that they lack military capabilities in Greenland, I think the first question you should answer as an advisor to the president is, why did you leave those 30 bases then? You were there, you decided that you didn't need to be there, and now you complain that you don't have military presence anymore. You can resume that tomorrow without attacking a NATO ally, without infringing on a friendly country like the Kingdom of Denmark and a long-standing ally. So simply the rationale behind this lack both factual foundation, but also doesn't stand any logic testing, because there is already a treaty between the Kingdom of Denmark and the U.S. allowing U.S. military presence there as part of NATO defense.
Do you have concerns, Mr. Vistisen, about this administration's commitment to NATO? Are you concerned, for example, that one motivating factor may be that if there was an attack on Greenland, if there was a move made on Greenland, that it could fracture NATO, and perhaps that would be part of what some members of this administration would see as a benefit?
I think many people in Europe already now have come to the realization that American security guarantees are not as valuable as during the Cold War. We don't really can't rely on the US to come and defend Europe with the very many statements that have gone contrary to the treaty of NATO. And I think that is a shame. You know, the only time the Article 4 in NATO have been activated has been on behalf of the USA when you were attacked on 9/11, where Denmark came to the aid of the US and sent troops both to Iraq and Afghanistan. So in that sense, the only time the treaty have actually been activated, it has been to aid the US. But now we realize that we cannot rely on that indefinitely, and that Europe must be able to make our own security guarantees with our sometimes troubling neighbors to the east.
Anders Vistisen, member of the European Parliament, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.